Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time joining, welcome. If you are joining from a previous video or you are a previous subscriber, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about stabilizers. There are many different stabilizers out on the market, and you want to use the right kind of stabilizer for the project. And then some stabilizers you can use for everything. So they're like a universal. So you have to kind of pay attention to what the stabilizer says on the package and what the little paper around it says. So today I'm going to talk to you about stabilizers for sewing with the embroidery sewing machine. So I have a list printed out that I found online for the basic general rules of embroidery machine stabilizers. And you really have to use a stabilizer when you are using a embroidery machine, because that just gives the fabric more stability. Because what I discovered through some research is that if you do not use the correct kind of stabilizer, your fabric can pucker, and it can make your finished result look bad. So you want to make sure that you use the correct stabilizer. And then also, sometimes when your piece that you have embroidered is finished, it can have a couple little puckers to it, and that could be just from the pattern, and pressing it will help with that. And depending on the type of sorry, I lost train of thought there. Depending on the type of thread that you're going to be using for your embroidery, there are some cotton threads, but mostly polyester thread is used for embroidery machining or machine embroidering. So you want to make sure that your thread can handle being pressed with an iron. But if you are in doubt, just use a non-stick pressing sheet. And it's a thin piece of, I believe it's like a Teflon. I'm not exactly sure what it's made of, but I believe it is just a fabric. It's like a piece of, it looks like plastic. And you'd think, well, if you're not familiar with sewing or quilting or anything, or the applique quilting or anything like that, you'd think, how the heck am I going to iron over a piece of plastic? It's just going to melt. Well, it's actually I think it's a thin sheet of Teflon. So you can iron over it, and you can see that this one, I haven't used it in quite a while, and it's got all your little fold lines and everything in it. That's okay. Just lay it down over whatever you're going to press, and use a iron set for the fabric that you're going to be ironing, and just press, and that will save your thread from melting. After putting in all that work of making a pretty project, you don't want your thread to melt. Okay, so I've had that happen before, and that is now why I own a pressing sheet. And it doesn't say what it's made out of. I guess you could just Google it. But it's also great for crafts, paints, glues, peel, or rub off. You can use this when you travel to press your clothing. It's good for all sorts of things. But if you're curious about non-stick pressing sheets, just Google it, and it can tell you a little bit more about it. So, okay. So now to get into your stabilizers. So there are many different types, like I said, and this is your guide for whatever you're going to be embroidering on, and it'll tell you what's the best type of stabilizer to use. And I'm going to just read this to you quickly. And it says your general rules are to use a cutaway stabilizer for stretchy or knit fabrics. That's like t-shirts or fleece, anything that you can physically stretch the fabric. So like a t-shirt, you can stretch that fabric. I'm trying to get my arm in there. So you want to use a tearaway. Cutaway stabilizer for stretchy or knit fabrics. Use a tearaway for stable woven fabrics. And then for light colored fabrics needing cutaway, use a no-show mesh to decrease the show through. So if, say like, I've seen some people where they've embroidered on really like an organza or chiffon, I believe the fabric's called, that there's chiffon right there. That you want to use a really light see, this one says a wash away. So I have never used a wash away, but what it looks like is it looks like a very thin piece of plastic, almost like it's clear. It's clear, and it melts when you wash it. I don't know what it's made out of. I think it might be a starch base, but it melts when you wash the item. So this is a really good chart that I found. I downloaded this off of sewingmachinefun.com, and it has other little tips here. Small or hard to hoop items like socks, hats, and collars do well with a self-adhesive stabilizer. And that would be, I don't know if the iron-on fabric or the iron-on stabilizers are considered a self-adhesive. Maybe self-adhesive would be a sticky sticky stabilizer. I don't know a lot about stabilizers, so I'm learning as well. So fabrics with texture on the top need a topping. So this list will also tell you topping. And fabrics that are textured would be like fleece, a terry cloth towel, things like that. So where they're textured, you will have to put a topping over it. Okay, and then choose between a water soluble or a heat soluble topping. Light sheer fabrics do well with wash away stabilizers. And then design considerations. Use a heavier weight stabilizer for designs with a high stitch count or density. And what that would be, so say like you have something that you're going to make a patch out of, and it's going to be really dense. The stitches are going to be very tight. You want to use a heavier weight stabilizer that can just take more stitches to it so it doesn't fall apart. Tearaway does not work as well for very densely stitched designs or designs with bold outlines. that's good to know because I bought tearaway stabilizer, so I may have to invest in a few other ones. Other tips, there are many weights to choose from. You can use more than one layer of stabilizer or even more than one type. So if you do not have a stabilizer that is going to work for you, you can combine them. So maybe like this is a really thin iron-on stabilizer, and you can you see the little dots on there? That is the glue. And when you iron this to the fabric, it's going to stick to it. Okay, so there's that. I could iron this to the tearaway if I needed a little bit, something a little more stable. That's just an example, and I'm not saying that that would work because this is very thin. But you can use a temporary fabric adhesive like the Spray Away basting, quilt basting spray to adhere stabilizer to fabric. Some stabilizers are fusible and can be ironed on prior to hooping, which is this one. This is I showed you those little glues things. I have some others here that I'll show you in just a moment. Then iron backing like the Sulky Tender Touch. You can use that on baby clothing because it's soft. And other items where the stitches will rub up against skin, you want to have something that's going to be a little softer. So those stitches, if there's a lot of stitches in one place, it could rub up against your skin and irritate it. So I like this, what she included on here, that there's a disclaimer that it says options differ and choosing the best stabilizer takes trial and error. This guide is meant to serve as a starting point rather than an absolute authority. Always test your design and stabilizer combo on a scrap piece of fabric first. So you use this just as a general guide. Use what's going to work for you. Test what's going to work. And again, I said I downloaded this and printed it from sewingmachinefun.com, and it was free. So there's that. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about the stabilizers that I have. First stabilizer I ever bought was this one. It is a no-sew stabilizer. You cannot sew over this. It will tell you right on the back. Tips: do not sew if stitching is required. Use Heat and Bond Light in the purple package. And this is right here. This is your Heat and Bond Light, and you can sew with this one. So it'll tell you if stitching is not desired, use the Heat and Bond Ultra Hold in the red package. So that's this one. So if you don't want to sew something, there's this one. But you don't, I'm thinking you don't really want to use this one because it's not going to work for sewing. So I think this would be a big do not use, okay? So do not buy the red package stabilizer for embroidery. Okay, so the Heat and Bond Light, it can be sewn. No steam is required. It is machine washable. So you want to make sure that the project, if it is going to be washed, you want a stabilizer that can be washed as well because it's going to be there still. And follow the directions on the package. And then this is another Heat and Bond fusible interfacing. And this one can be sewn also. You iron it to attach it, and sew as needed per the instructions of your project. Okay, so heat and bonds are really good. I've never bought it in bulk, but you can buy it by the yard. This particular stabilizer is just a very lightweight stabilizer. I used these for some applique, hand-sewn applique that I was working on. It's very light, and as you can see, it's really gauzy and you can see through it. So this one's a very simple, light one. And like I said, this one's the one with the little glue dots on it. You can see the little glue dots. Then there are, this one's a lot thicker, and you can see the little glue dots on there still. You can hear them. There's going to be a soft side, and there's going to be a textured side. You want to put the textured side, of course, to your fabric. Okay, and this one is also used for, this is a fusible non-woven interfacing for collars and cuffs. Don't let that fool you where it just says collars and cuffs. You can use it for whatever you need it for. This is I believe this is a medium weight. So there's that. Let's see what else it says here. Always pre-test with a swatch of your fabric before fusing to make sure it's compatible with the fusible. Has a lengthwise grain for stability, crosswise stretch for shaping. So just kind of like go over the little paper on what it can do, what it can't do. If you are in doubt, you can always ask somebody in the where you purchase it from. I bought these by the yard, so you can. And this is made by Pellon, by the way, Pellon. You can buy it at Joann's. You can buy it at Walmart. You can buy it at Hobby Lobby. You can buy it online. And there are many different kinds of Pellon. There is one specifically for embroidery. There's ones specifically for quilting. So just kind of shop around. And like the little paper said, this is just a starting point. Do what's going to work for you. And like it said, you can combine different types. If you have, say you have this and this lightweight stuff on hand, combine them in layers with your fabric if that's what's going to work for you. This is what I just recently purchased. I want to be able to do quilts with a embroidered embellishment on the quilt blocks, and this is a tear away, so it tears very easy. It is not iron on, and this is also made by Pellon, and I got this at Hobby Lobby, and I want to say it was under $5 a yard, but if you buy it online, it's a 2-yard minimum. I found that out when I went to the store because I saw when I researched it on their website, it said 2-yard minimum. And when I went into the store, I said, why do I have to buy a minimum of 2 yards? And she said, that's only for online. So there's that. And those are the stabilizers that I have. Again, Using the SE625 embroidery machine is going to be a DIY learning experience for me, since it's the first one that I've ever had. So this is just kind of something to get you started, and a little bit of ideas on the different kinds of stabilizers. I would highly recommend doing a online search of all the different kind of stabilizers there are, because there are many, many more. Many more. Like the fusibles, there's tearaways, there's the wash away, cutaway. So many different kinds. Definitely try to do an internet search so you can see the different things that there is to offer. And if you have any questions, please comment down below. If you haven't subscribed already, please give my video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.